on the Karma because, right, Maple, it's not 2016. Maple's not in that same kind of carry prime where he was playing champions like Zed famously. Putting him on something that can enable XX, let Light carry, put an emphasis on Shenlun, because we know Shenlun is a very carry-oriented top laner, would be very good.
That rock you asked for right in the mid lane. Stability comes from the stable choice of something like the Karma. We will find out because I want to notice that the Ornn has been banned away against LNG. Ornn that has a 100% win rate in the LPL right now in that top lane. So choices for Shenlun, who in the past has been more the carry-style top laner.
You would typically think he'd go towards something either like a Renekton or a Camille. These are two lanes that, with jungle, can trade and fight into this Jace. And it's kind of strange that LNG just say, hey, we're going to opt into breaking our flex so early when FPX have already shown that, like, let's be honest, we don't expect Jace to go towards the mid lane.
It's not an Ezreal jungle as well, right? Like, it's pretty easy, cut and dry. As Renekton's still up and available. You talked about it before.
And I checked WinB solo queue. He is still spamming this champion even recently. So really? For FPX, I expect Jace to go in the hands of Khan, right? He's a famous Jace player, and WinB to get his hands on the Renekton.
Very true. Sit with the identity. You're now going to break the understanding of LNG, I was going to say, because we need a top laner. Or do we need a support? It's been a while since we've seen Karma top. I don't expect that one there, but
if you did do Karma top, you're just neutralizing waves against the Jace, which I don't expect, but instead going into the Mordekaiser. So Mordekaiser is going to have a rough time in that lane early on. And LNG's comp is kind of strange, where we do have some elements of poke and siege with the Zoe and Karma, but also having that Ashe for the hard engage. You don't out-poke FPX's comp. You will win straight up 5v5s later in the game, potentially, but LWX will always be a threat on that Ezreal. Honestly, I'm not too big of a fan of what LNG put together.
all right. We'll break into it a little bit more. Touch back on FPX for me, because with the Renekton coming in and just facilitating more of the early game here, how does this transition for FPX with what they've built?
I mean, FPX's comp is so straightforward, right? The fact that they have Nidalee, Jace, and Ezreal doesn't necessarily matter too much that they also have a Renekton and Leona in there. They want to poke, they want to siege, they want to kite back. They have the re-engage with the Leona ultimate as well. Just a lot of options.
Okay,
options and they have are good. Very strong laning phases.
Oh, very, very true, actually, you pointed out. We'll look towards FPX going into this game one. We haven't seen them yet. We've come back to the LPL, and our MSC teams, very nicely, have had a bit of a break after coming back. It has been 4, 5, 6, 7, I can't count, about 8 days or so since MSC ended. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but teams like Top Esports playing a little bit later. But for now, sitting here in this series for LNG, we saw them against Suning. We weren't too impressed. Suning kind of demolished them. And LNG didn't show us that spark of brilliance that we want to see out of players like Maple. I want you to break down this comp more for me as we get into game, Lyric. Because seeing Maple on Zoe and XX on Lee Sin, mid 2v2 presence.
I mean, realistically, they're playing a pick comp, right? They have the Ashe Herald, they have the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, you have all the single target bursts coming out from the Lee Sin as well.
All right, well, I'll look and we'll talk because we're going into game one. And nothing rhymes with talk. Stalk. Bork. I look forward to Bork. Blade of the Ruin King. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. Let's go to FPX and LNG to see if FPX can start off the split right or if LNG can get some redemption after what we saw against Suning. Low expectations, a low bar for LNG, but they're here to prove us wrong on the Rift. So, what do you notice different? Well, it's actually airy for Maple, but Zoe, flexible champion with runes, as always.
It's, it is going to be WinB on the Jace, which, like I said, I checked WinB's solo queue. He has actually played a bit of Jace, but he's been playing a ton of Renekton. And a ton of Aatrox.
We saw it last year.
Yeah.
In 2019, WinB would always play around with the flex opportunity. But I guess this time around, wants to be taking it to the mid lane with the Phase Rush Jace as well.
As one of the 3 more common runes. Jace, it's always Phase Rush, Electrocute, or Conquer. You don't typically see Conquer or Jace in the mid lane because you're not getting as long extended trades because you're against things, like long-range burst mages, so it is all about those shorter trades.
You also notice the fact that in the 2v2, there's a lot of chase with that Phase Rush landing on top as well.
Problem is, you don't expect much of a 2v2 coming in from FPX's side. Jace obviously not having any setup for the Nidalee Spear. Still, Nidalee is a type of jungler that really just wants to get ahead in the jungle, get her own tempo, maybe go try to abuse the Lee Sin in the 1v1, but you do have setup topside from Khan, and that's done on his W.
And we're going to be looking at junglers starting towards the bottom side here. Just notice where XX is. It was a blue buff start, now heading up for the double buff, which means he'll be in range of Khan pushing his wave.
Yep, Khan trying to get the bounce back. He, of course, does win level 1 against Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser doesn't really come online until he has his full kit, can start getting that passive shield around him.
Has been a favorite of Chenlun. Notice that Chenlun has only really come in this split. We saw him for the first time towards the end of LNG split as Flandre. It was five and a half years that he'd been playing consistently every single game. And for the first time ever, he took his day off. And now, Chenlun seems to be the starter here in this LNG roster. We know the off-season drama that's come through where Flandre back and forth trying out for the other rosters, but he's back on LNG, but not being used. Yeah,
for anyone who doesn't know, LNG did put out a statement, officially that they did try to sell him, but Flandre wanted to stay on the roster. It seems like they ended up not finding a buyer, and probably creates a bit of an awkward situation. But Chenlun definitely does show some promise, showed some promise in LDL. Is more of a carry-oriented top laner. His champion pool really favors AP champions. He's a Vladimir main.
Yep. Had also a very good game 1 against Suning on the Jace, who was the cleanest member, while everyone else was kind of getting slaughtered. So the promise of Chenlun, maybe it's another thing that could drive forward LNG. Right now, still getting pushed in, as you mentioned. The matchup here for Khan feeling pretty damn good. As the wave crashes yet again, ward's put down, and you can see the deep vision up towards the top side that's been put by Khan as well, up towards the Krugs, in fact. Where, not sure if it caught XX before, but he's now towards the bottom side. And Tien is in perfect position to shadow top, shadow mid, and hasn't been spotted out yet.
Yep, he actually did catch XX on the ward, and both junglers just...
flashing on in on top of Maple. That was interesting.
That was really strange. It was so much after the spear.
Yeah. Net win Maple. Net win Maple.
That was
sure.
That was pretty questionable, but both junglers just, getting the Scuttle Crab on their strong sides. Nothing that strange. Both just full clearing, and now XX looking to use Maple's pressure just to get some vision.
Which is nice. So Wrath is going to be spawning as well. Let's look bottom, though, because Dwan might be caught out here at half health. Poke's going to be returned, though, with a nice Mantra Inner Fire from Dwan. Notice that Dwan has gone Comet in this lane. Couple of options there as well, Lyric, as a Karma main myself, an enthusiast. Airy or Comet. Or Omnistone, as I'm sure people will like to hear. But Exhaust down in this bottom lane, more importantly as well, is Tien going to be spotted out. One of the benefits of Ashe, as we've all seen, early scouting is available with the Hawk Shot.
I want to see what XX and Maple will do, because Maple, of course, had priority in the mid lane, got that push, is now coming back to lane first, and now XX and Maple should find a window after this next wave to make something happen on the map. They could try to create pressure to topside with how far overextended Khan is.
But pings actually went down. I believe the ward expired as he came back up to his Krugs for the second time around. So, Khan very aware that he's here. And that Death Grass not going to do anything here against Renekton either. So back down he goes, and XX will walk towards Maple once again.
Honestly, I think I would have enjoyed more just to see the Renekton in the mid lane, just for the fact that, sure, Zoe's going to be able to harass you in the early levels, but you're going to get to a point where you can pretty much just ignore her like most WinB's Bruiser champions.
Yep.
Just kind of clear out the wave if you get something like an early Tiamat, and then constantly look to push and move sides, and then help if Khan had been on the Jace and, bully out the side lane matchup.
Because I'm curious, what would the effect have been if you, saw Khan against Chenlun? The Jace finds an even better lane than he's currently finding now against Zoe.
Yeah. He'd do much better. And again, then you'd be able to have a stronger mid-jungle 2. You'd actually have a mid-jungle 2v2.
Ah, very true.
So, now, we saw how it worked out the first time, right? You throw the spear, if the spear missed, there's a...
And apparently you flash in after that as well, yeah. And WinB's level 6 now, not going to mean much on the Jace, but Maple now having Portal Jump is, and he still has his flash, remember, after that trade. WinB's half the way there.
Still, WinB's going to do quite well if it does come down to trades now, since he was able to pick up that serrated Dirk, and, Maple just sitting on the Amplifying Tone.
I know we're not seeing it on screen, but some good trades coming through from Dwan as Tien once again was spotted out, heading towards that bottom side, and XX outside of the Drake, excuse me. We're going to butt heads a little bit here with Cloud Rift starting. Cloud Drag.
I want to see what FPX could even do, because again, you have no setup from your mid lane. He's just constantly getting pushed in from the fact that Maple just has to spam Paddle Star. You're probably in an alright position if LNG just decide to get on the objective first, because they don't actually have any engage yet without the fact that there's no enchanted crystal arrow yet.
Which team needs to force the most if you're looking at the composition setup? Like, what team needs to control early objectives?
To me, it's not even about who controls early objectives. Both comps need to be ahead in a sense, especially LNG FPXs, because if you're playing a poke comp, if you aren't able to be set in front of the tower with your vision set down, it's just going to give LNG so much room to engage on them. But again, LNG have the enchanted crystal arrow, and you do have the insect type play that could come out from XX as well.
There's a lot of CC combined as well. And let's not forget Chenlun's ulti, especially if we're talking in front of objectives, as XX is stealing this one away, while the trade is for Tien to get more priority in the top side, start a bit more with the vertical jungling up towards Khan.
Khan is completely just dominating this matchup, right? He's 20 CS ahead. You'd expect it to even up a bit because Chenlun is catching that wave now. And they can't even necessarily look for a dive because Chenlun's level 7 does have that Death Realm.
Yep.
So I kind of expect us to be at this point for a while where it's going to be both teams just abusing around their winning lanes. LNG will always have the option if they want to rotate their bot lane up first and start a Herald.
I guess the bonus is with Tien in this top side, if he has mana, he can throw a spear, poke him down, and then even if Khan gets put in the Death Realm, the damage is already done. We're speaking of damage because Rift Herald also has been started here with Dualme behind him, but pings are going down, LNG willing to contest.
Yeah, but LNG's coming so late. We just finally see their bot lane start roaming up.
Maple has a Proto Belt though. That's nice. Might be able to abuse.
No, I don't think it does anything.
Okay.
Oh, it does something!
Sir, you are wrong. It does everything. What a steal.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Dude,
that was absolutely beautiful coming out from Maple, but
early.
I don't know. I don't know what to say
I love
about
how the Proto Belt stole the Rift Herald, and now he picks up the Smite as well. So the invade comes through, and LNG on top of that stolen objective. Now with the blue buff, they continue forward as Chris looks for the engagement with the Zenith Blade. Maybe too long as LNG stayed in this jungle with the kickback. Re-engage comes through, but it's already first blood. Given over to Dualme as the arrow, a bit late as well.
I mean, we just see FPX's composition is just damage on top of damage on top of damage, right? You have a whole carry, top jungle, mid, and AD carry, so if you get your hands on anyone, they're just going to be bursted out so quickly. I mean, same goes for LNG, though, right?
Yeah.
You already talked about the CC chain that's on that team, but if they're ever grouped up as 4, you can expect any member of FPX to just be deleted since the fact that they don't really have a true tank.
This first game does feel like whoever fires first and lands everything wins, right?
And that's the thing, because it's kind of funny that we've set up that both compositions are kind of strange, and they're not as straightforward as a lot of the typical, LPL front-to-back teamfight comps or 1-3-1 comps or pick comps. There's a lot of kind of moving parts. They're both dependent on hitting skill shots, and that's really who's going to come out ahead. Who can play through their winning side better, get the vision set down, and then hit those skill shots.
And I will say, even after the start and the steal from Maple, we now look towards Dualme in the mid lane, who picked up that late first blood, who has the Umbral Glaive, and if he hits first, it's going to hurt so many members on the side of LNG. A small gold lead here to kick things off as well for FPX, in the form of about 1,400 at the 10-minute mark. And remember, we got another dragon coming up with Ocean, but LNG are going to pause me as XX a bit wide on the
yeah, I feel like XX threw that out a bit too early as well. Threw it wide. We could have seen Maple try to hit that Sleepy Trouble bubble.
Who do you favor here? Rift Herald, of course, going to get a better charge towards the bottom lane, shared between Light and Dwan. I also believe XX got a little bit of that as well as he swipes, picks up another. So that's 4 plates for the bottom side of LNG.
But at the same time, you've gotten 2 plates mid, you have 1 plate top and 1 plate bot as well, so it's actually exactly even, right? 4 plates for 4 plates.
Didn't really diminish the gold lead either. It's still about 1,400 gold on the side of FPX after a minute's gone by.
We do still see that CS lead in the top lane, and the wave is actually now going to be on Khan's side. And Khan already finishing his Black Cleaver super early, so Chenlun's still going to be in trouble.
Yeah, he's going for the Ninja Tabi himself there with a Kindle Gem for a bit of cooldown reduction. But Khan, you were talking about the individual plates throughout each lane. He's ready for his next one as over the wall goes Tien. XX is nowhere near as strong as this Nidalee with a 20 CS lead. And do not get hit by that spear, you will die. And he's going to lose this camp as well.
And these are the kind of plays that FPX really needs to make, right? You're playing around your solo lane pressure, but you can't look for a dive on the Mordekaiser. You can go force out the Lee Sin, try to steal the camp. But finally, we're at a place where W1D can start abusing this matchup. Since you pointed out earlier, he finished his Umbral Glaive, and the straight-up 1v1 trades will come out ahead of Zoe. He also has an easy time avoiding that Sleepy Trouble bubble from his phase rush.
And also remember that he was on that Umbral Glaive as he got back to the lane, then picked up the 3 bits of turret plating as well. So right now, W1D will be sitting on a bit of gold as Khan has come on in to give us the surprise. Flash over the wall, the commitment's there, and this time around the W1D flash works out better. Easy kill for FPX to make number 2.
And we've talked a bit about both comps and how they move forward. I do still slightly favor FPX's for the fact that you have this Ezreal who's going to become, you know, an unkillable monster, and you just have no reliable lockdown on the side of LNG.
Yeah.
So, sure, even if we get to a place where there's a front-to-back team fight, and maybe champions like Renekton and Jace start falling off, right? You're still going to have this Ezreal. It's going to become a menace as long as the other 4 are serving as kind of like meat shields in front of him. I believe LWX will have enough damage to get the work done.
Look towards that because he's been pretty calm in lane, but we're looking on screen because W1D has picked up first turret of the game by himself. FPX with a 3k gold lead after that play. And this feels more like an IG game, right? Where you'd see rookie mid on the Jace, where you'd see on the top lane, maybe not the Shine Renekton, but you'd see these lane dominant styles just bringing up those leads.
This is an IG style draft, right? This is what you would imagine you have like Puff and Southwind on in the bot lane, or we can even look at top esports now. Jackie Love and Yu Yanja, and the top side is 3 champions like this that are all about winning lane individually while jungle covers, gets down vision, and wins that isolated 1v1 as well.
It's that 20 CS lead in the top lane. It's the turret lead in that mid lane with 2 kills as well, with the stability of the bottom lane. LNG, all they can do right now is pick up these dragons, so that does put a condition on the board, but they got a Mountain Soul here with a rather squishier team.
Which I'd say this is great for either side. Sure, neither side is really going to be heavily stacking resistances. You should have a bit more on the side of FPX just because you do have a Leona support as compared to a Karma. But actually, let's take a step back too.
What?
We have LWX with the new Ezreal build, so if they can start stacking up the Mountain Drakes, that's going to be massive. But both sides are really squishy and rely on bursting down the enemy team, so who can never get that Mountain Soul, the shield, it's going to be massive.
Oh, I was talking about that yesterday with Dagda. What do you think of the Death Dance 3rd, 4th item? It's been told it's pretty efficient so far.
You don't need the extra damage from, you know, whatever item you could have bought otherwise. So getting not only the resistances, but all the life steal you get from that combined with the Blade of the Rune King, it literally makes Ezreal unburstable, which as an AD carry...
Sorry, I've got to interrupt you because Chenlun almost just died from the poke of W1D and Tien. He's going to come out of the death run with that perfectly land javelin toss. No minion wave, and he's going to survive for now.
He's going to get away.
Yeah, he is. The teleport's there, and Khan won't find him in time. Out he goes.
You can't dive a Mordekaiser. We've talked about this. The fact that they did get him so low from the poke is actually pretty amazing, but...
Yeah, and then he Death Realms and only manages to get out. So kudos over to Chenlun, who does survive, but the turret goes down in the end as well, while the rest of FPX move mid.
But I'll say, we see LNG pushing the bottom side, but still, you're giving up so much pressure on the rest of the map, and okay, you're getting a turret, but FPX are also getting Rift Herald, so it pretty much evens out in the end.
Especially when they place down that Rift Herald. I mean, there's a lot of options now for inner turrets, outer in the bottom side as well, and Tien has picked it up. Also note that now he's about a 30 CS lead over XX.
That makes sense with the fact that he's on the Nidalee. Was just clearing his jungle the whole time. We saw him constantly abusing the pressure that Khan was generating and just going in and stealing XX's topside jungle.
2-level lead there as well as a side note. But it's item check time, Lyric. As the gold comes up on the left-hand side of our screen, W1D is milestones ahead. He's got a Yomu's Ghostblade and is still sitting on that extra longsword at the end of his inventory versus Maple, who only has that Luden's Echo. So right now, a full item ahead, even though it is a cheaper item, it's still massive.
I mean, this is the big breaking point for Jace. And I'd say Jace Renekton, right? When these two types of champions are in your composition, they're really the kind of sole focus on how your team's going to end up playing the game. So if FPX take fights right now, they're looking really good.
As long as they dodge away from someone like Maple, as Chris goes over the wall, but maybe a little bit too deep. He doesn't have the support of W1D, who doesn't have his flash either. Kicked over the wall. XX now wants to follow it up. The Sonic Wave connects, but almost dies with the Shock Blast combo. Yeah! That's the snipe by the pinky toe. Down goes XX.
I mean, that was just absolutely beautiful, Chris. Going pretty deep by himself at first, but just he knows he has an AD carry he can rely on and will finish off that kill once he goes in. And
All planned, right? As Tien now going to do some sniping himself. The spear does indeed land, and Tien can't pounce over the wall. The range, probably not that much, but he's got a Rift Herald, and he's got his team pushing mid. FPX taking all with a 4K gold leader now, taking the fight as well. As the turret goes down, no more aggro. The damage onto Dwan as he goes gold, but can't. A little bit too deep here. He's in the death realm, and he'll die. With Chenlun coming out, Chris now has to flash away. LNG have picked up one, and they've got low health bars. The flash forward until the blast cone that I believe was hit by Chenlun. A bit unfortunate as Doomby now joins the fight, but Maple doesn't care. He's going to flash forward, and LWX has to dodge away from the sleepy teddy bear trouble bubble, whatever you want to call it. But FPX in the end, they get away. They get the turret at the same time.
Like, it's great that LNG were able to pick up that kill, but we saw the problems with their comp against what FPX are running because, in all essence, it has the makings of a poke comp with the Zoe and the Karma, but you just don't have reliable engage. Chenlun had to flash in, and then if you're able to get away from the flash, which obviously the blasting plant there, LNG have no way to keep going.
And they're still behind by about 5,000 gold, but I will say I'm going to be the optimist. At least LNG got something.
Yeah, we see here FPX going for the dive after the turret goes down. They have so much burst. Get Dwan so low, but good stopwatch from him. And great paddle start coming out from Maple. Crisp is able to flash away. Chenlun wanting to be the aggressive carry that we talked about. And was he the one who hit the blasting plant?
Well, maybe not. Maybe I was wrong about that.
Yeah, it kind of looked like it was Tien, but...
Because it is a good hit.
Yeah.
I don't want to take anything away from Chenlun after picking up the first kill for LNG as the arrow comes out. That's onto the support, the poke to follow. Teddy Bear lands once again. The True Shot Barrage doesn't connect as Doomby says, "G'day." And now running through the choke. Look at where Khan is. He can sandwich them down. LNG are walking through a precarious path. Doomby ready for the Shock Blast combo again. Hits Dwan. But again, we're talking poke comps here. This is going to continue all day.
Exactly. Both teams are just going to throw their skill shots over the wall. Whoever controls vision should be the one to come out ahead. FPX walking back in, getting vision down, and looks like LNG are just going to give up this Drake if you look at where XX is on the map.
All the way back right now. Probably interested in securing vision towards that top side with Baron coming up in a minute. First mountain picked up here for the side of FPX. And there is some resistance building on that Renekton, as you mentioned before. Also with Chris in the Chain Vest. It's going to be a bit punishing for LNG to deal with.
We also see that LWX is going towards the Triforce rather than an Iceborne Gauntlet, which, you know, makes sense. You have triple AP on the enemy team.
Sure.
Also, Chenlun with his build going more towards a team fighting route, right? You are getting the Haunting guys, you have the Proto Belt, so it's all about getting in, dealing the AoE with your passive, rather than if you went for something like a Nashor's, which is about getting someone in your death realm and 1v1ing them.
Which he's going to do right now, nonetheless, right? The Proto Belt has been used. We've got the Madness ticking up as well as Dominus as well. Khan's going to come out shortly, and there he is. As Light doesn't have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow just yet, so Khan flashes away.
I'd also love to see Chenlun pick up a Bramble Vest and play more of a frontline role with how this game is going.
We'll see what that cloth armor turns into, because we've seen a lot of Seeker's Arm Guard for the Mordekaisers to sit on. Not sure how long he's had that one there for.
Now FPX just pushing out mid-wave. They're making their way towards top. They have vision down in that jungle, and this should just be a free turret.
Already 5k gold up. Enchanted Crystal Arrow onto Doomby. Maple looks for the poke, but he lands from what we have. The minions are kind of blocked him a little bit there as Chris does the same. Lyric, what's wrong?
I mean, the minions was the depressing part, but
that was your hands in the air.
We see how unreliable this is.
Yeah. And at this point for LNG, I mean, they got to keep making the plays at this point.
Doesn't have a QSS, doesn't have a cleanse or anything, just no one close enough to follow up, just waits out the stun and then walks away.
Good dodge of the trouble bubble yet again. Doomby keeps firing this out. FPX really committing to the top lane already, but they haven't seen XX with a 3-man kick now. The Wombo comes through. That was great, but the follow-up needed as the Soul Flare slows them down. Probable lands yet again in Maple. Now looking for the nuke, but blocked away by Chris. Doomby ignited, has to flash away, but Light wants to follow this up. This Ash ain't got no chill. With XX over the wall, he misses the Sonic Wave, but it doesn't matter because LNG can still pace forward. LWX low on matter what. Chenlun comes in for the flank on top of Khan. They've got this 80 carry though, over the wall, over again. LNG have brought this game back.
Yeah, they're finding the wins they need. Now it makes you wonder if they're willing to commit to a play like the Baron, which I'd say something they should want to do with the fact that they're 4K gold behind.
XX, bit of a Starlight moment for him there for sure though. I can't wait to watch that one back, but LNG, gold lead is still 5,000, but you can see how this comes together now.
And they're taking it patiently. It seems like they feel better with the fact that they do have an AD carry who's going to go and build crit.
Yep.
Zoe, of course, the more and more items, she's going to get to a place where she can one-shot almost any member on the side of FPX.
Nice.
And yeah, we see the engage coming through. Chris trying to dissuade them with his ultimate, but LNG just able to follow up so nicely. Great job, Maple jumping in, and Light playing so aggressively. The Blade of the Rune King active coming out. XX unfortunately misses another Q, but great job from Dwan and Light. Played this fight so well, just tethering their range so perfectly.
A duo we didn't get to really see because it was always Dwan and Asura in Spring, and now that Asura's left the roster, Light is the starting AD carry. A good sign of life from a team that needs it. Maple also played that fight pretty well as well. We get to a point now where, again, reminder at the gold lead at the top of your screen, but 22 minutes in, the Baron's up, the threat of LNG finding another pick, now with their ultimates back and available.
I'm also happy that we do see Chenlin did go the Bramble Vest route, so he understands the role that he needs to play in this composition. And now for LNG to find a win, it's going to be super dependent on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, on XX either finding a good war jump into an ultimate, or some kind of like cheeky brush play.
Or landing that trouble bubble as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or if, even if he doesn't hit trouble bubble, right? If he hits some kind of insane paddle star from Fog of War can get someone on FPX low, their composition really needs all full HP, full cooldown like champions there to interact the way it wants.
Very, very true. Well, we're going to reset for a little bit here. Note that Dragon is up in 45 seconds. Another Mountain, of course, being the soul here is can't deny the blue buff. As it seems, it's given over to Maple before he has to get out of there.
And like you said, the game going slow for the next 30 seconds. And these are the kinds of plays that we wanted to see from LNG, and I'm glad to see that they're looking for them. If doing these steps...
Yep, a bit too far forward. The arrow lands, but because of the range...
That was not too far forward, though, was the problem, is there.
Well, also the Merc Treads, I should note, are helping with that quite a lot as well. So Light, no arrow for a while, but at this point in the game, the cooldown isn't too much to deal with.
At the same time, Dragon is about to come up, so I wish they would have been a bit more patient with that.
Okay. If you spotted out, LWX moving towards it now. 3 seconds. LNG without that ultimate as True Shot Barrage ticks over to Maple. FPX grouping his fight.
And the player we really need to watch going into this next fight is the Winby. If LNG can single him out, maybe we can see Chenlin looking for a good flash Death Realm play. Nope, they want to go for Baron.
I mean, he hit Light on the side as well, just notice. He's at half health. Doomby with 3 items plus the next rated Dirk. You said LNG were going towards Baron. Well, they're just getting some wards for now and clearing out FPX. Nice trouble bubble. Not going to land.
They're looking for the angle, but FPX just aren't giving it to them.
Being an AD carry against all this poke is threatening.
And now they can just ignore it since they have Khan pushing in the bot side. They can just hover that side, threaten rotating more members over to take this turret.
There's a Renekton with Demolish as well. Do a bit of damage. LNG have made the movement. FPX are pinging not for the Baron right now, looking for the recalls. They're not going to find it. Maple back in a safe brush, but over the wall, the Baron now. No. Okay.
Neither comp has a particularly fast Baron at this point, and the fact that both are so squishy just makes it so dangerous. Like, imagine if you're FPX here, you start Baron, you're all getting low from the Baron damage. Chenlin flashes in, Death Realms Tien. XX is on Lee Sin, who has that execute on his Q, can easily steal away the Baron.
Yeah.
Just not really a good option for either team.
That's why they, you know, hire you for the big statements, right? Imagine if it was just me here casting.
Hey, man, I don't feel like I offered any insane insight. You look at both of these drafts, and it's pretty out there. It's not the typical day in the LPL.
Okay, that's why. You're just trying to be nice to me and obvious at the same time.
I'm a big fan of apathetics. I'm just throwing it out there.
You would know
I keep talking about how I'd love to do some play-by-play, you know, in a very monotone sort of way while you analyze.
Oh, no, that was one day. Actually, no, it was 2. It's probably not going to happen again. Mr. Clement Jew. I'm not sure if he was a fan of that one. A big shout out to our father.
We also see Light is going towards that death stance as well, which we did see this build the other day on that, right? It's become semi-common on Ashe and Kalista as well, not only the Ezreal.
I mean, we've been seeing a bit more of Ashe. It was funny enough, we saw it on the side of Kramer. As for LNG, we'll bring you back to this game because they're clearing out vision once again. They have grouped up. And FPX separated to the side waves. Waves pushing in fact, in the top side. And eventually bottom. Card now grouping as well.
Yeah, FPX do always have the option of playing a sort of 1-3-1 style composition, but that's one of the ways I feel you give LNG a chance to get back in the game by if XX and Shenlong just commit to one side, kill one of your carries, and then can go force a neutral objective. So I much prefer what FPX are doing, which is, you know, push the side waves out, but continuously group mid.
Force the attention of Maple, who's now answering one in the top side as well. FPX have the shove through mid here with LWX. Shenlong staying here for now. Khan reacting in the bottom side as well, and we're going to be lulling for a little bit longer. We could just get towards the next dragon and this continues forward.
I mean, if you're FPX, you feel fine doing that, right?
Yep.
We've already talked about who can ever get this soul. It's going to feel extremely hard for the other side to come out ahead, especially with FPX just stacking up the Mountain Drake itself. Look at Khan's build. He's going to be a monster. It's going to be really hard to take him down.
With the double mountains already, that Warden's Mail is going to give it a little bit extra on top.
And we have QSS on LWX. We see the Edge of Night coming out for Duimbi. Locking them down with any of your already scarce CC options is going to be really hard.
He's on his Hourglass there if you even do lock down Tien.
So your options right now are locked down Crisp or Khan.
Who has a Stone Plate, and the other one has a Warden's Mail. So
and they both have Merc Treads.
Yeah. We used our brains this game. Also note that the cloth bags are still on Tien. It's 28 minutes in the game, and he still has tier 1 boots. Do you approve? Do you care?
I think it's fine. The fact getting that Athene's finished and getting those nice heals is great. And you just mentioned the Zhonya's, right? How impactful it's going to be against the options that LNG has and how they need to find a win in this game.
Oh, we saw the Athenes before, by the way. It was onto, I believe, LWX in one of the last fights. The healing was quite obnoxious.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people forget about that item because there aren't too many champions that build it, but
Karma support does. I just noticed Dwan has actually gone for that as well. We've seen a lot of Shirelias recently on our mage slash, I guess, our Thresh support. But going for the Athenes first, with Light now finishing the Death's Dance as his third item. A lot of lifesteal going to be available here, so get ready for a Light potential carry if the next fight gets a bit close range.
And again, the name of the game for FPX is just kite out these engages. You kite out the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well as the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. You just keep throwing that poke in return, and look what that does.
There we go. I guess it stops there for now, though, but at the very least for FPX, that might have just secured themselves Mount.
It just needs to stop there. You don't need to do any more. You get them to half HP, you go into the Dragon, they try to come back, you throw it out again.
And then Duimbi's going to turn around in a second, this level 16 Jace. Get ready. He's going to hit that brush. And good dodge away from LNG, but the Dragon already gone. Versus 3, Chris now going in for the engage. Solar Flare in the choke as well. LNG should not have walked in here, but Shenlong into the Death Realm. He'll take Chris, but at this point in time, FPX say, come to daddy. Over the wall he flashes, but Khan ready to slice and dice. Thank you for the kill. Thank you for Baron, essentially after getting 2.
And I understand why he pulled in Chris, but even that's a terrible option because even if you kill Chris, you're dead. You're 100% dead being in the middle of their team. So great play from FPX. And another thing I want to highlight is how
LNG has stuck around.
Like, look at the sideways. FPX have done such a great job of making sure they're constantly pushing out when they're looking for these objectives.
As we're now going to look towards the fight as Dwan is just dead. Duimbi over the wall. But we don't want to see that. The cameraman is tilted. He's fallen. The double kill goes over to Duimbi. And as we return to the Baron, I'm sorry. I think our cameraman was not expecting that. As FPX will pick up the purple worm and a 10k gold lead.
And now think about it, Hysterics. Jace, Ezreal, Nidalee sitting in front of your turret with a Baron buff.
Pretty obnoxious to deal with if it wasn't already. And a Mountain Soul to probably put the icing on the cake in 3 minutes 45.
Yeah, and FPX now just, they could play through, I'd want to see them play through 2 lanes, not necessarily 3. You can set up that 3rd lane for a push, but again, you have power in numbers. You're not giving LNG any openings to get on top of you.
Maybe Dwan was the observer. Maybe we had Dwan doing observing. He died. Camera tilted away, and the mouse just fell to the side. We've got FPX pushing down mid here. We've got 4 members with the TP used by Khan in the bottom side.
Keep your eyes on XX, so he's looking for the flank.
That's the ultimate onto Chris. Light starting to hit pretty hard here as the kick goes back. It's onto Duimbi. They've caught him out of position. FPX have walked down mid confidently. The True Shot rush to try and get the kill on the backside as Khan now joins in. The problem is FPX are still so far ahead that great play from LNG meant nothing.
Yeah, and you saw Maple got chunked out so low right at the start of that fight, and again, LNG drafted this pick comp, but it's so unreliable. It feels so hard to execute against what FPX have done. They kite out the engage well. They come back in, and they should be able to get 2 inhibitors.
At the very least. First one goes down. They're consistent on pushing mid. Light's still here. You have to say that Light and Dwan still standing is kind of reminiscent of this game in the past couple of fights. I won't be able to defend the second inhibitor, but to defend the game, that should be possible. Light moving forward. Good little fancy feat here as he chases after to clear the wave, but that'll be that.
Look at Khan's build. Khan can just stand in front of him, let them free hit him, and it's going to do absolutely nothing.
The Renekton has scaled, Lyric. When you're that far ahead, you scale, huh? Well,
I don't know if that's how it works.
no, but I'll leave it at that. Minute left on the Baron. They've achieved what they needed to.
Oh,
we'll watch this
we're going
nuke
back
again.
even further. So, yeah, just completely takes out Dwan. And then Flash. This was a great Flash, unlike that earlier one. Gets all the damage down. And they've just drafted this kind of nuke comp that you throw out all your abilities. If they all hit, the HP bars go from 100 to 0.
Now, I'm not going to ask you how LNG come back in, because frankly, this one's done. But I really want to see a Mountain Soul on this team.
It's up in a minute and a half, so we could get there. But FPX are posturing pretty aggressively. We already see Crisp looking for the pick, and with LWX and DWinB on the way, I think FPX are just going to look to find a fight and end.
We could. The poke's still coming out. It was DWinB who chunks out XX once again. I will say, from LNG, we did get some sparks flying, but it felt a little bit too late in this game one. Something we'll definitely discuss after this one. But FPX now on the top side. Baron buff has expired as of now as Light gets an arrow again and onto LWX, does some damage. He's kiting around nicely, dodging the poke, but into the backline. Chris finds his way once again, but will drop a little bit too deep as Light does survive. But Genlord and XX get poked down, and again, that's how it works.
Chris, there's no reason to do that. You have inhibitor down in mid and bot. You could just take this more patiently, wait for LNG to have to spread across the map, but I guess when you're 10k gold ahead, you have the triple mountains, you feel the confidence, you're having the fun, so why not?
Do whatever, that's right. Chris doesn't care. He's died more than everyone combined.
Maybe Chris was like you, and he wants to see the Mountain Soul as well.
Yeah, okay. So Chris, a man after my own heart. 15 seconds. Here we go. Imagine Khan now. He's not on level.
And he's going towards a Thornmail next.
Oppressive. Every time I just keep watching DWinB's poke. DWinB has been full items for a while. What happens when you get a cheap build? As XX at half health get the steal? Oh my god! Sonic Wave. That's stupid. There's
no excuse for that one. There's nothing to say.
Chenlund, I don't think you win this 1v1. DWinB will come out of the Death Realm in a second, and after stealing the Mountain Dragon, LNG run into danger. The poke is good as XX still finds his mark, but onto the side, I'm not sure. Maple trying to carry this one as well, but look at Light. The Ash 80 carry. If they weren't so far behind, LNG probably would have won that fight. But Dwan, the only person left standing, is Khan, and Crisp will take down the Remnants.
And that's probably just going to be the end of the game. Super Minions are already pushing the Nexus. That's that.
Light was so close to carrying that fight. Oh, they were so far behind, but ladies and gentlemen, 10k gold lead. Game number 1 here for FPX. Expectations hit, I would say, as Crisp and Khan just going to work their way through these turrets. No death time is going to stop this one either. And interesting cops flying here in game number 1, but FPX execute better. They take us to match point.
That game went as expected, but also didn't go as expected from the way we saw FPX draft and play this game.
But a great way to end, nonetheless, right?
It was interesting.